All right, here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back for another episode of Project Creation. And today we're going to be talking about nodes.
Yeah, baby.
Nodes.
We've been waiting on this one.
I feel like this is a topic that we have to cover because it's the pretty much the biggest premise of the game, you know, and we
yes, it is the premise of the game.
It is the premise of the game, and we've been holding out on it, honestly, just because I'm just like so overloaded with information about the nodes, and I feel like we can break it up into a lot of different episodes.
Probably, yeah, several.
Yeah, I mean, like even from freeholds to player housing, like those could all be separate. So I wanted to make this video a little bit more generalized on the nodes to give people some information out there that don't know, or just a refresher. But there will be 103 regular nodes in Ashes of Creation. This may change based on how development goes and if we see things get taken out or added. Stephen already said that he didn't really want to add or take out any nodes, so it's like pretty big of him to keep it in the game. And then 15 additional castle nodes with 5 castles and then 3 nodes attached to each of those, bringing it to a total of 118 nodes for the game.
Yep.
So we've had this question. I wanted to come back to it because I feel like it's a really good question, and we didn't really dissect it that much. But do you want more nodes than guilds in the game? So where like you can, if your node falls, you guys have the ability to go elsewhere and kind of change your location and change your whole experience?
No, and you may have to correct me. I may have a misconception about what the nodes are. But you know, if you had more nodes than guilds, then every guild would just run their own node, and there'd be no reason to
collab
or conflict. And you know,
too,
Stephen and them have said that they have baked conflict into the soul, into the DNA of this game. And so that would be, if they did that, I mean, you would very much be taking out something that, I mean, by all accounts was, you know, designed to be a part of the game.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think you should have more nodes than guilds. I also, as much as you know, it's funny because I've given a pretty considerable amount of thought to this. I don't think that people are going to be able to organize their guilds around a single node to the degree that they think they will.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so
because that's interesting, because I feel like I can see where you're going with it, but for all the listeners out there.
For all the listeners. Okay, so you know, a lot of people are thinking, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick node A, or just whatever, it doesn't matter, random node.
Right.
And I'm going to recruit people, and everybody who's in my guild is going to need to be a member of that node.
Node A.
And that way, yeah, of node A, yes. That way, you know, we're never in conflict with one another over nodes and all that stuff. And you know, to simplify it and make it easy. The problem is that and again, if I get something wrong, please correct me. It's just going off what I know about the system. There are going to be augments that are only available to you based on the type and level of node of which you are a citizen.
Correct. Yep.
So and then you know, like let's say somebody's trying to build his system around a military node. Well, what if, you know, you really, really need high-end crafters in your guild to accomplish certain things within your guild, and there are crafting recipes that are locked to scientific nodes,
right?
And, you know, and so you know, there's religious nodes, and I don't even remember all the node types, but I just feel like
there's only 4, but we'll get into them next.
Okay. I don't think, and isn't there going to be 6 when it's all said and done?
Oh, that's the stages. Yeah. The types are basically like different kind of characteristics to the node.
That's what I'm saying. The type is what I'm talking about. I thought that there was going to be several different types.
No, only 4.
Okay.
Hopefully they add more. Honestly, that's what I wanted to say. I really hope that they add more, even with maybe expansions or something. But it's like it's a lot to put in a new node type.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I think you'd be doing yourself and your guild a disservice by trying to put too many eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Right.
And
Yeah.
trying to be only one thing. Although I do believe that's there are going to be a lot of people who try to do that early on. I just don't know how effective it'll be and how successful they'll be in telling large swaths of people you have to come join this node. I mean, and that's just from experience of playing MMOs for a long time. Like there's a lot of people are kind of individualistic. They want to go do their own thing. They don't want to be told.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, and I feel like once you force the players, that's when I feel like the game starts to decline. Like you got to give them the freedom to choose rather than to make them choose.
Mm-hmm.
In some certain cases, it works. Like if you have to make a decision. But we'll go ahead and get into the node types. So like I said, there's only 4. Divine node is the first one, and there's always a specialization with each node type, and that's what kind of like defines the node. But basically, divine nodes is your faith and temples, and also skill / augmentation focuses you'll gain through that. And the node NPCs that are on divine nodes are going to be priests. For economic nodes, you have trade and merchant focuses for your specialization, and then NPCs are going to be merchants. Military nodes will be combat and class focus with a little bit of corruption reduction, and then their NPCs are guards or mercenary type fighters. Scientific nodes are artisan and construction focuses with more elements to progression and technology, and you'll have scholars as NPCs on those nodes.
Right.
So players will be able to identify that type of node in the first stage of development based on its NPC makeup. Just like what the first one comes, you'll know right away.
Right. Right.
And I think we were talking about that before, like what's going to distinguish that, But I like that NPCs do it. It doesn't have like a big tag. This node's this, so you just run away from it because you don't want that one. Like you have to actually like invest in it a little bit to.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and it might not be the one you want, and then you're kind of SOL. Or you go to a new node and hopefully you got a spot, or a vacant one.
Right.
So my question for you though is, do you like the varying types of NPCs, or would you rather see like all different types of NPCs like within a node, and it's not really specific to each node? Like you got your merchants, you got your priests, you got your guards, you got your scholars. They're all like kind of intertwined and make up the whole population of the node.
Right. I guess it's going to depend on how spread out the nodes are.
Right.
Because it does seem weird, like to have a village that's nothing but scholars.
That's what I thought. It's just so weird. That's not organic at all. That's not really. Right. It doesn't make any sense.
And if you account for human nature into that, the node that is made up of nothing but scholars would immediately be consumed by the node that's made up of nothing but mercenaries.
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
when you're actually fighting, like what's going to be easier to kill, a scholar or a guard? It doesn't.
Right.
So, or a merchant, like what's a merchant going to do to a guard?
Right. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly how that is going to work, and I guess we're going to have to get our hands on the game to find out. But I'm sure they've thought of so much stuff. I'm almost to the point where I'm like, I'm sure they thought of that.
Yeah,
there's got to be some type of balance.
They would have to, yeah. But I think that we definitely saw that there's other types of NPC characters on it, like questers or quest givers. Just I think people like aimlessly walking around the town. I think it's more focused on like it attributes to the node rather than it makes up the node of just them,
Okay.
Node types are predetermined and are the same across all servers, so you're not going to get which I kind of was bummed about. I wish that they changed this, I wish it was more randomized. So you join like NA and it's different from EU and it's different from OCE and whatnot. So
Like the type of node that's in each location will be exactly the same on each map.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the reasoning for that. Although I agree with you, it'd be nice if it was a little more varied. I could see why it wouldn't be.
Yeah. And a node's type is static. It does not change based on the node's advancement or destruction. Do you prefer a permanent node type, or would you rather see more randomized destruction of a node?
No, I prefer a permanent node type.
Yeah.
Because the reason is real simple. Otherwise, people would figure out what is the node that gives you the 1% advantage over all the other nodes, and then that would be the only node type on the map.
Right. Yeah. Now I was thinking about this too, because like upon destruction of your node, you know, maybe you guys want to go and you want a different type of node. You know, you're like, oh, we did military and it wasn't really for us. We kind of want to do more merchant style node or economic style node, and then you get that avenue. But I think that's probably true, because then every node will probably become an economic node, you know, just based on money and auction house and all that. So we'll go into the node benefits a little quick here. Node types affect various services and systems at each level of node advancement. You're going to be looking at node governments, the narrative, NPCs, node buildings, and amenities. And there's like a laundry list of freaking building types you can have on your node. I don't even want to read them all, because like it was like a page and a half it added to the notes. So I'm like, nah, dude, we'll go back into that, a different time.
Right.
Each node type has a superpower, a ultimate ability that becomes unlocked when the node reaches level 6 Metropolis stage. Economic nodes have reached the Metropolis stage, unlock the linked economy superpower. So you're kind of going to get an auction house based on the superpower of the economic node. Economic nodes with this superpower share their auction house listings with all other stage 6 economic nodes. So it's pretty cool.
Okay.
It kind of makes like a market like auction house type, but it's only within certain nodes that have that power. But I'm sure that like
that level.
Yeah, I'm sure though that like all players can go and use it, you know, maybe they're even taxed a little bit when they do, or there's like a percentage, you know.
Right. Absolutely.
I could see that happening. Military nodes enable bounty hunters and reduce the duration of corruption. So I know there's a lot of bounty hunter type guilds out there and mercenary type guilds. So I think that they're going to be having their hands full if they have to wait to a level 6 to actually be able to bounty hunt, you know?
Yeah, and I've seen quite a lot of the bounty hunter stuff, and I'm still a little bit confused by that, because I'm still at the point where I can't see what the advantage that someone is going to get for just running around killing people randomly. It's such a small benefit for such a big risk that I actually don't know that just randomly killing people all over the place and becoming corrupted is going to be very prevalent. I could be wrong, but that's just my read on it. So bounty hunting may not really even be a thing.
Well, I think it will, because I know just how many people are just super interested in it, but mainly you're going to it's like questing, like you're going to have bounties that you can like see on the map, like Predator, you know, like you could see them.
Oh, it's Predator. I thought it was based on like you would go after corrupted players.
You do, but that's who you see is corrupted players, and that's who your bounties are.
So what I'm saying is, I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of corrupted players. If you just look at what the risk, what you're risking when you become corrupted versus what you potentially gain, I don't think it's worth it. And I think that people are going to figure out pretty damn quick that it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. And then you're just not going to have corrupted players. And then if there's no corrupted players, then there's no bounty hunters.
Right.
And that's kind of what I've been saying. Just looking at the. Like I said, the risk versus reward. Now it's potentially Intrepid could find a way to balance that more, make the penalties not as bad, or make the benefits better. But the way they currently stand, I'm like, I can tell you right now, I have no intention of running around trying to kill random players, because there's no not that there's no advantage, but the advantage is not anywhere near commensurate with the
Yeah,
penalties.
like you might get some resources that you get a drop from them, and it's like a
A
percentage.
percentage of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
percentage of, right. But I mean, maybe it might be good if you need it, like it might be situational, but I think there's going to be an influx of people just going around killing each other because it's fun, and then the other people are going to be going around killing the corrupted because it's fun. But I think eventually it's going to sort itself out, like in the long run, I think that the bounty hunter system, it has to be done well and it has to be integrated well to make people want to play it,
Right.
It sounds
And,
cool
yeah,
off the bat, but I mean, it's different on paper than in practice. So scientific nodes have reached the Metropolis stage, unlock the teleportation superpower, so they'll be able to teleport to each other's nodes based on scientific.
So beautiful.
I know. That's so good for fast travel. Divine node benefits are not node yet at this time. So they haven't released the divine node. But I'm going to say that it's probably something with augmentation or some high-end religious or divine type of influence with their superpower. Do you feel all these abilities equate to each other, and do you feel like if there's an imbalance here or anything?
Oh man, the ability to warp around the map could have major implications, especially for defensive purposes, like if you needed to get over to your castle or whatever very quickly.
Right.
So that's really nice. The ability to have your auction house, your local auction house, linked to all of the other local auction houses is unbelievable.
Pretty superpower.
Pretty superpower. And I'm even in my head imagining military nodes or just strong guilds or whatever running around making sure that no other economic node ever gets to rank 6. So the only economic node that does is the one that they're in control of or that they're a part of or getting kickbacks from or whatever. Influencing, so that everyone has to go to the same location to purchase goods, everywhere, and they're getting to the tax benefits from it everywhere. But that's just me, like metagaming, trying to figure out how people are going to try to game the system.
They're like the mob, they come in and they tell you what to do and where to buy it.
Like, Did you say what the military node benefit was?
Bounty hunter system. Bounty hunter system and corruption reduction. But I want to say that there's a lot more, because there's like gladiatorial arena types that buildings that you're going to be able to get access to. So there's a lot more that goes into it. This is just like more generalized on that. And I'm sure that they're going to build off these superpowers to make it like unique, so each one feels different, But
yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't see anything that's glaring. To some degree, I think they link up together pretty well.
Yeah, and I think they're strong in their own ways. Like it's hard to measure them against each other, but I definitely think like they kind of all encompass like core components of the game that's gonna kind of make it better, hopefully. And doesn't cheese it. Yep. So we'll go into node stages. There are 7 types of node stages, beginning with wilderness, which is nothing. You just ruck up to your node and it's just barren type.
Yep.
But then you go into expedition, which takes a few hours. Then you got encampments, the next one, which takes many hours. Then you got village, which takes a few days, and that's smaller houses. You start to get town, you get many days it takes, and more medium houses. Then you go to city for the 5th one, which just takes a few weeks, which then you start to get your large houses. And then stage 6 is Metropolis or Metro, where it takes many weeks and you start to get your mansions and stuff like that. So
Yep.
Do you feel the time frame of stage advancement is optimal, or do you think it's like too fast or slow? And this is all going to be tested in Alpha 1 to really see.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is so speculative. Like, for what you said, sounds fine, but it's really going to depend on how much benefit there is to each stage to figure. And also, like, I'm thinking it's going to be just fine from like Jump Street, from like launch day, when we're all rushing to our nodes to try to figure it out. But if you think about it from the perspective of like, you built your economic node to 4 or 5, and then somebody comes around and destroys it, knocks it back down to nothing. Is it really only 4 or 5 days worth of building back up to get back to that point? Is that enough? Should it be more than that? You got destroyed. Your crew got wrecked. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I just feel it's going to be so disheartening when you lose your node. You know, it goes back to nothing, and now you have to spend many weeks to get it back just to where it was. But then you might not even be able to do that just because of how the ZOIs are. And we'll get into ZOIs and how other nodes kind of trump each other in that. The zone of influence is every node is given a purview over a predefined geographical area that are called zone of influences. Player activity within these ZOIs is weighted and counted toward a particular node's advancement. So, right. So the citizens and non-citizens player activity, quest and gathering rating, etc. Within the ZOIs count toward a particular node's advancement's progression to a higher node stage as well. So it's not just your node, everything after that carries on to the next one. The advancement of a node unlocks its unique content, such as dungeons, raids, world bosses, mobs, events, and unique quests, which comes at a cost because it starts locking out an increasing ring of neighboring nodes from progressing to their next stage. So you grow faster than them, you're going to start blocking out their progression, and they can't. They're capped. They can't go up to that next stage.
Right.
Yeah. So, do you think citizens of the enemy node will delay an attack on a node to reap the benefits longer from that unique content that was unlocked from that node, or do you see all nodes kind of in jeopardy at all times, and it's kind of out of the players and nodes' control?
I honestly don't know.
This one was a fun one. I was like, I wonder what you would say with that. But
I did a video recently, YouTube video called what's the name of that video? Ashes of Creation is being built on a single point of failure.
Yes, that was the one you got a lot of hits on too.
I did get quite a few hits on that one. Yeah, right? and the thing about that one is that it means it's also being built on a single point of success, and the node system is that deal. There's nothing particularly standout about this MMO. It without the node system, it would kind of just be another MMO that's in development. That's the whole thing. And so given that, it's really, really hard to predict what's going to happen. I don't know, man. This is a whole new system. This is something nobody's never really tried something like this. At least that I'm aware of. Now somebody's going to, in the comment section be like, well, you never heard of, obscure MMO. And I'll admit I haven't played every MMO, but I played a whole bunch of them. And I don't know, man. I don't know how people are going to react to these. And I also don't know, because one of the things I pointed out in the video is that it's possible that the system will be so complex that it's only going to be like the super high end of the player base that even interacts with the nodes, that even tries to care about what's going on with the nodes, that even knows what like level their node is, that sort of stuff.
Right.
I see a whole bunch of players just running around and killing things and trying to craft, doohickeys and whatever. So I don't have a good solid answer to that question, man. I think we're gonna have to wait and see on that one.
All right. We'll wait and see. I'll save that question. We can ask it at a different time. But node advancement to the first stage is quick. This enables NPCs services such as vending or banking right away, so you guys can go ahead and put your inventory in your bank. The more advancement the node is, the larger the ZOI becomes. Less advanced nodes referred to as vassal nodes, and this is where you get your parent and vassal node, that fall within the advanced node ZOI can still gain XP, but must remain at a lower advancement stage than the dominant node or parent node. The vassal system begins when a node hits village stage 3, but neighboring nodes start from expedition stage 1, also block the growth of their immediate neighbors. The territory expansion algorithm takes into account the nearest coast, neighboring nodes, and heat maps of the players in their surrounding areas over the last few weeks and months. Due to the way the progression algorithm calculates territorial ZOI's expansion during node advancement, there is a small possibility that two nodes at the same stage may end up close to each other. And then my question for you is, do you like how the expansion of ZOI changes every time a node rises and falls, or would you rather see something more static approach to better defend from PvP ganks and such? In terms of like the actual like ring, it changes every time a node levels up. Like, so if this node,
Right.
if this node levels up, then the ZOI gets bigger, and that kind of changes from its vassal nodes and stuff. So,
I'm going to defer back to what I said early in there, that they are baking conflict into the DNA of this game.
mm-hmm.
And this is the same thing. I think by having it be so unpredictable and ever changing, ever shifting like that, it both drives player conflict, which we know is a central goal of theirs, but it
Right.
also kind of evens the playing field just a little bit, because it makes it a little unpredictable. So you can't just get one group that's the idea would be that you wouldn't be able to get one group that can just predict how it's going to go down and then defend it, into perpetuity, essentially.
Right.
So I think it's fine that way. Maybe we get in there later on and figure out that it's not, but right now, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I think it's cooler that it changes, because you get something it adds to the replayability, but it also adds to what you're going to be able to kind of govern over, and what's going to be under you.
So going off on a little bit of a tangent here, this is another thing that I kind of covered this in another video I did about how Ashes' creation could revolutionize the genre. And so if you think about your typical experience in an MMO today, like you name the MMO other than Eve. Like this applies to every MMO except for Eve, pretty much. When I log in today, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to log in and I'm going to bounce around in the capital city or the main fleet or whatever the thing is, and my guild is going to do a
dungeon
raid,
or raid, yeah.
Depending on the difficulty of that raid, I know exactly how it's going to go. I know we're going to clear it in record time, or we have a tank that's trash and we're going to wipe on this specific boss over and over again
on this specific part, right? Yeah.
I know exactly what's going to happen. Everybody knows, and I think that's a big part of the reason you get MMO burnout in general, is because it's just the same crap every day.
Yeah.
And up to this point, I've never seen an MMO, with the possible exception of Eve. I've never seen an MMO that they're really baking like unpredictability into this game.
Oh yeah.
You're not gonna know what you're gonna do when you log in today. You're not gonna be sitting at work thinking, okay, I got a raid tonight. You're gonna be sitting at work thinking, well, when I get off, I have to go find out if the raid we want to do is still available, because if our node got knocked down, we got to build our node back up to open up the raid that we want to get, or whatever it is.
Right.
Or you may log in thinking that you want to go chop wood to work on your crafting, and then you find out, oh well, the node needs 6,000 more iron ore to level up.
And
so
you ain't chopping wood today,
Yeah, you're mining ore. So
yeah, exactly.
I really think that this system that they're designing, and it's like the more you talk about it, and the more that I've researched it, and the more of other people's content that I watch in the game, it's like they are really, really making this game be very, very unpredictable. And I really do think that's going to be very, very healthy in the long term for the game.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think that I wanted to say before, but I think Intrepid and Steven's like idea of nodes is like transforming the genre and like taking it to a different direction that I love, honestly. Like, because we haven't seen an MMO kind of do this, and there's kind of like references to Lineage 2 and all these other kind of siege type MMOs, maybe Guild Wars 2 a little bit, but it's not where the player base is solely focused on their like city, and they're all in a guild, or there's many guilds or whatever on the server that's their culture. They're like, he's making spots of culture, and then having the players be able to attack each other and defend each other for their stuff, basically. So I mean, like, I love the fact that he's creating all this conflict, but I know how MMO players are, and I know the griefing is just gonna, I really, really hope that this whole node system sets the mentality of the game, and that people know that what's at stake, what they're going to be losing, what's, you know, like you say, what are you going to be doing when you log in every day? You know, like you don't know. That's the joy of the game. You know, that's what makes it exciting, because you're not going to think like anything that you think is not going to go to plan, you know? So I just love that. I just feel like he's just transforming that, you know, and the MMO genre needs it, because it's just so stale.
No, I mean you're you know, you're saying the same thing. You're preaching to the choir a little bit.
Yeah.
But that, you know, you said something about he's transforming the genre, and I was just pointing. That was the name of my video, was how Ashes of Creation could revolutionize the MMO genre.
It is,
and I think that in 10 years you're gonna have all these companies making MMOs that have knockoff systems of the node system. They're going to have something. It's not going to be nodes, because that's going to be AOP's thing. But there's going to be other games that are building other systems that are designed to inject this into the game. It's crazy. I think that there's. I'm not saying that this game is going to be the WoW killer, because I don't think anything can kill WoW. I think WoW is going to be WoW. But I think that this is going to be the next step forward in the MMO genre.
Yeah,
there've been like 1,000%
has
revolutionized. I think this is going to be the next one. That's just my opinion on that.
Well, I mean, even we get it a little bit from New World, you know, I know that they don't have individual factions based on your guild per se, but they got 3 factions that you can kind of take over territories and control it. So this whole idea is getting built into new MMOs, you know, and it's like how battle royales kind of took over in shooters, you know, like that became the focus for like multiple companies to make battle royales. And it was really cool, because we got to play a different type of genre with a lot of different types of varying types, you know, and each battle royale has its own feel and play style and speed and everything, you know.
Yep.
I was just talking about this last night. That's so weird.
Yeah. If you're not a shooter guy, you know, there's medieval fantasy style battle royales.
Yeah,
it's the same crap. It's just spells instead of bullets, basically.
And Ashes even did it with APOC. That was a battle royale. You know.
Yeah, it was.
So they started their whole engines and systems and since ported it now to the game. But I mean, they did it too. So like, if they can kind of popularize this genre and make it like abundant again, that because every player wants to play an MMO. Like, you look at the Twitch streams, everybody wants to play an MMO, man. So this, I think this is going to be a really good representation of it. And honestly, I think it's more like, I was thinking this before, and I was thinking about like references, how I can reference New World and Ashes of Creation, but I was like, New World is Magic Johnson, say, which they're not Magic Johnson, and then Ashes of Creation is Michael Jordan. You know, he's that next step up. You know, he's the you know, he came after him, but he's gonna get bigger than him. You know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's continue. A node does not receive XP from nodes within the ZUIs until these nodes have reached their cap. So you won't get that spillover of XP from your vassal node under you to your node, if you're the parent node, until they're at their cap. This kind of helps kind of push and progress the parent node from leveling fast too, because if the parent node doesn't level at all, then these guys can't level at all, you know, under them, and then these guys can't level at all. So there needs to be something that pushes the top up, you know, more so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get like the stalemate. And then we'll get into like what happens if you don't level up your node and all that. So the exact percentage of advancement from obtaining items or killing monsters is not going to be explicitly known to avoid gaming the system. That's like with, you know, you kill 1,000 boars, it gives you this XP. This is the fastest way to do this in this area, and all that meta bullshit, you know.
Interesting.
So, village stage 3 are higher nodes, enslave nearby nodes, converting them to vassal nodes. Vassal nodes must remain at least one node stage below their parent node. Like I said, neighboring adjacent nodes from expedition stage 1 upward block the growth of their immediate neighbors. So you start blocking people at stage 1.
Wow.
So you go from 0 to 1, you already blocked the 3 0 nodes around you. So I don't know if
Damn.
this is going to be like a gaming system, dude. That's why I was reading this. I was like, this might get a little hairy, you know?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. And there's like, it's funny because I've played. Did you ever hear of Darkfall? Have I ever mentioned Darkfall to you?
Yeah. No, I've played Darkfall.
You played Darkfall. Well,
Yeah.
I was there at launch of Darkfall. I was like the only other MMO that like I followed the development of. And,
Oh,
like, I
right.
was on
Okay.
the forums, all that stuff was Darkfall. Like I thought that game was going to be everything, and I was there for what was essentially the Land Rush launch day. And everybody who had
Best
been in
day,
alpha,
man.
you know, they were already organized and the betas and all that stuff. They were already organized and they already knew which node, you know, or not node, but which town or which area of the map was going to be the most beneficial for them for whatever reason. And so everybody was running and trying to get their land and, you know, have their territory and all that stuff. And you're going to have the same thing going on here. And yes, it's going to get very gamey that type of stuff is my biggest concern, is just to what degree are people going to be able to kind of control everything. So we'll see if that they say they've put enough systems in place to stop that from happening, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
I don't either. I'm hoping.
Yeah. So I'll just continue down. Vassal nodes first apply any experience earned to their own deficit. See node atrophy, and this is what we'll get with into node atrophy, but it then applies excess experience earned to the parent node. If a parent node advances, the vassal node is once again able to advance. Vassal nodes give excess experience to their parent node and may have their own vassal node, so it's like vassals of vassals of vassals type, so long as they fall within the parameters of the ZOI, which is pretty self-explanatory. If a node is capped and is both a vassal of its own and its own vassals, any experience earned from itself and other vassals is first applied to its own deficit. Experience beyond this, that is then sent to the parent node. Vassals are subject to government alliances, wars, taxes, and trade of their parent node and are able to receive federal aid from them. Vassal nodes cannot declare war on their parent node or any of their vassals. Citizens of vassals are bound by the diplomatic states of the parent node. So this is kind of where you can get your attackers and defenders when it comes to wars and whatnot.
Yes.
Because you can't fight your parent node, you can't fight your vassal nodes. So you guys kind of all work collectively as like a net, basically, or a system of nodes, you know, to kind of keep each other afloat, you know?
Yeah, I have so many questions about that. What you described sounded kind of like multi-level marketing with nodes, to some degree. But like,
yeah, it's a pyramid system.
And it's a pyramid scheme. Node pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
So if you're a vassal of another node and you can't declare war on them, how would you ever get out from their boot, out from under their boot?
So there's two types. So, and we'll get into one of those types, but first is the siege. If someone sieges your node or a node higher than yours and that falls, then you can get out of it because they go down to 1 or 0. And then you're competing against two other nodes within that ZOI to see who gets the next spot, you know, who gets stage 6 or stage 5 or whatever it is, you know.
Oh, look at me. I'm smiling like a little kid. Sounds like an awesome system.
Yeah. Which is more like internal conflict. Like one day you're trying to save everyone. The next day you guys are all at each other's throats trying to,
right.
You know,
right.
So it's pretty funny.
Well, yeah, and if you think about like especially like the feudal system and stuff in England, when England was just a bunch of nations warring nations and stuff, and all the barons and the dukes, and they were always at each other's throat, but then they would come support each other when they were at war.
The Saxons,
but then as soon as war was over, they were fighting over who was going to take over the throne and be the lineage and all that. So I mean, yeah, that's
a lot of scheming and politics in that, you know.
Yes, it sounds like there's going to be an unbelievable amount of politics going on in this game.
And then it's like a rush who can level up the node the fastest, you know, because you guys are all on the same, you know. Do you like how nodes block the growth of their neighboring nodes from stage 1 and become capped based on your parent node, or would you rather see all nodes kind of have the opportunity to level to max simultaneously?
I'm not really sure. I don't really. And we're,
It's a good
God,
dude. I got some good questions coming up because it's like hard to talk about.
You're killing me today, man. With
Yeah.
this great question.
Dude, I was like, this is gonna be fucking dope. Even though it's general, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it really, to me, it depends on how frequently war is going to be happening and how frequently nodes are going to be getting knocked down and stuff.
Mhm.
Because if it's a situation where just by the nature of getting to the top, you know, you and your crew organized slightly better and got to your node 5 minutes faster than the other nodes around you, and you guys became the main node there, the parent node there, and then because you were the parent node, nobody could pass you. The only way you could get knocked down is by war, but nobody's warring because everybody's trying to build up their nodes, and so just because you got there 5 minutes faster, you're going to get to go all the way to the top, and they have to stop a level below you. And then if it kind of becomes static at that point and people aren't going to war, or they're not going to war often, or you continue to win the war, it's like it all goes back to the fact that you got there 5 minutes faster.
Yep.
But on the other hand, if you're going to be logging in once a week and all the nodes in your zone have been knocked back down to zero, well, then yeah, sure, you'll get to rise up and be the parent node sometimes, and sometimes you'll be the vassal node.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I think it mostly depends on just how prevalent war between nodes is going to be.
Right. Yeah. And
For me.
so I got two responses. So the first one would be no, to the question I asked. No, I don't want to see it level together, you know, simultaneously, because becoming a vassal node has its many perks, like helping with XP and protection from other enemy nodes. This also makes the world dynamic and has a mystery about it for unlocking unique content. It creates the need to explore in a progressive manner. Devs can also slow content from becoming accessible too fast and not all at once. So if everyone's leveling up simultaneously, then all the content in the world is going to be eventually available for everyone.
Right.
And then this would also result in more expansions needed and at a faster pace. And then the contradicting that is, yes, we do like this system because all nodes leveling simultaneously, because immediately blocking a neighboring node from leveling up will cause mass grief among players. Also, content shouldn't be behind a wall that we have to see built up and destroyed before we can get new PvE content, and become very frustrating.
Right.
If the players unlock a node's unique content, then the content should live on the server permanently regardless of the node's destruction. This can then be accessed by all players, granted, if you can beat the content or run the risk of getting PvP'd.
Yeah, I'm totally out on everything you just said.
Yeah. Basically, there's two different I put two different opinions basically. So
Right.
there's perks to both. And honestly, when I was writing this, I couldn't choose which one I wanted. So I'm just going to go with the system that they already have because I want to see it play out and how it goes.
I like the limiting of people's access to content as part of
A progressionary fashion.
Just because it adds more to that unpredictability. Like
Right.
if as soon as somebody unlocks such and such raid and it's always available, then we get back to the situation I was discussing earlier, where I know when I get off work tonight at 7:00, me and my buddies are all going to meet online. And
That
we're gonna go do
mundane.
this raid.
Mhm.
But if it's could be there or could not be there, I could be raiding tonight, or I could be trying to level up my node, or I could be trying to defend my node from an attack, or I could be trying to defend a caravan. Like
Right.
it starts vastly widening what you might be doing tonight when you get off work. And I feel like that's going to be such a big
Component. Yeah.
component to it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to see, honestly. I'm kind of for both of them, but we'll see on how it really plays out. So zones and progression, dungeons, raids, world bosses, mobs, quests, events, resources, narratives, and all other content within ZOIs will have diverse level range, but will scale with the advancement of that node and its racial influence. In other MMOs, Yeah. In other MMOs, content is usually scaled by tier and level of the mobs. Do you like Intrepid's approach on scaling in AOC?
It's going to be very interesting to see how that works. Like if you're a new player and you just joined the game and the game's been out for 6 months, does that mean you can't go live in one of the big nodes immediately? You can't just go right to a level 6 node and become a citizen because nothing in the area is going to be your level to be able to kill? Or I don't understand that part of it.
They have diverse level ranges. So there's going to be low level mobs with high level mobs and kind of all different types of levels kind of fighting next to each other and stuff like that.
I would really love to see a system where I can go into an area and not know what level of stuff I'm going to encounter.
Yeah.
And
that's
that goes back
that
to,
system
so
that they're implementing.
that's the system.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember playing Ultima Online back in the day. And I mean, when you were running around in the open world, just running around, you could come across bears, deer, pigs, trolls, orcs. Like, it was random. There were certain things that only spawned in certain areas, but
Right.
the big swaths of the map, it was just, there was all kinds of different things that you could come across. So, you had to be on your
A game.
you had to be paying attention. You had to be paying attention at all times.
Yeah. I like that. I think that helps the players fear the world a little bit,
Yes. And then the more unpredictability. That's kind of the theme of this podcast so far is unpredictability. All the different ways they're into the game.
Yeah, and it really makes it that adventure, that bug in you to really go out and try and find what, like if you think that you can take on these dudes, you go out and try and find something, especially if it unlocks something new, based on someone's progression of a different node that's next to you. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do too.
So racial influences, that little last bit on the end, that the node's advancement will scale based on racial influences. I wanted to touch a little on this. This is a pretty cool system, but cultural influences bring more than just aesthetics and storyline to the nodes. Benefits are granted to the dominant culture within that node's ZOI. These benefits apply to citizens of that dominant culture, but they also apply to mechanics of the node and can also be of benefit to members of other races. Good and bad. There's an attrition mechanic that affects experience and influence to curb a single race from dominating the entire world. Yeah, so I mean, like, it's not just aesthetics. Like, it doesn't, your node isn't just going to look orcish. Like, there's going to be benefits to, being orcs. And whether that might be, I don't know, downtime or like faster crafting cycles or something. Like within that, it doesn't really say what the benefits are per se. But it's cool though that they're going to integrate something as little as that. But it'll have such a huge impact when we actually play it and see it in game, and it's going to make each node feel very personalized to that race, which I love, and that's like what my guild's like based on too. So, are you guys in favor of nodes having racial influences that will allow the players to thrive as that current race, or would you rather see something more like static?
No, that's why would anybody rather prefer it to be static though? That's a very, very cool system.
Well, I mean, like everything, not just it's like a building that you want to put up. It's your style, it's not the whole style of the node, but I think it should be.
I think it should be the style of the node.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very cool system. It can generate a lot. Like, it's funny that you're like, you said that was what your whole guild was based on, or it was, a large part of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was already thinking to myself, now you're not going to be able to tell people what node they have to be a member of it to be in your guild, but you could effectively recruit only people of a certain race so that your race has a large amount of influence in your area, in your node, or in your ZOI.
You found me out. Yeah. That's what I was going to do anyway. So, I mean,
yeah, there you go. So, I could definitely see that, that being a thing where guilds that are getting ready and starting to prepare to play the game now, that are organizing and all that stuff, they're running around going, like doing Discord
Right.
voting on what race everyone has to be.
Right. Yeah. For our guild, it's just primarily orcs. Like, he could be whatever one.
Right.
And honestly, I like both of the orc styles, so I don't really care which one our node takes. I just like the fact that we have the opportunity to do that. And I almost thought like maybe we should even find a node outside the orc starting city, just so we can get those orcs passing by, and like, oh, this is an all orc guild. This is cool. This goes with the theme. I like this, So I'm thinking more on how I want to actually set it up and to where it's like available for to get that cultural influence, and I want it to stay. I don't want it to change. So nodes can be de-leveled based on node atrophy. This is a preliminary design that may change based on testing. This may be changed to an atrophy point system where accumulated points will progressively disable other services within the node. The node may be destroyed instead of de-leveling if a significant points threshold is reached. Stephen goes in to say there is an intrinsic problems with reducing a node's level as opposed to removing the node, and it may be possible, I'm just going to say now, that we don't actually atrophy nodes to de-level, but rather accrue atrophy points that must be replenished over time. And if not, it begins to disable services and further compound the atrophy problem, at which point, when it reaches a certain atrophy point, then the node would just disappear. Yeah, so I was like, what? That's insane. Yeah, this is like, and I don't know if I honestly like this, but I think he's trying to prevent against people that level up to, that's a parent node and level up to 4 or 5, and they just stop doing as much, or they stop logging on, and all these other 3 nodes that are under them as their vassal nodes, they want to level up, and their main node's not. And they're having to level the node.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm totally on board with that. I'm wondering about the node disappear. I thought the nodes were static, like there was going to be the same 118 nodes on every map.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I was like, I don't know where.
Okay, I'm confused by that.
Yeah,
no, I'm just gonna say that's a miss. He misspoke. He used a word he didn't need to.
Maybe he meant disappear, like they're gonna go to 0. Yeah, the node's not gonna go away. Nodes accumulate an experience deficit each day based on the node's level. The deficit is subtracted from any experience gained that day. If any deficit remains, then this is subtracted from the node's experience pool. Mayors are able to initiate quest-driven systems that non-citizens can participate in. The mayor can use a portion of the node's treasury or goods as rewards for this quest completion. Players will be able to interface with the node to view the quests that are available to them. And then these quests can be used to bring in material components that help combat node atrophy. Certain flags will appear to notify node citizens if their node has dropped below a required experience for its current stage. After a short period, if the atrophy is not addressed, the node will then de-level. A node cannot de-level more than a single level at a time. When a node de-levels, it enters a save period, per se, in which the deficit is temporarily reduced to 0. So you're not going to gain that deficit towards that save period. It may be possible that through node atrophy for 2 nodes of the same stage to be adjacent to each other, just based on like one de-levels and the other one's right next to it,
Right.
De-leveled nodes return to their previous stage. De-leveled nodes may lose their vassal nodes. And then I got a question for you. When it comes to node atrophy, do you feel that this system will be an asset to the game?
I mean, I think it's kind of an obvious asset to the game because for the the reason that you stated earlier, that's first off, where what if somebody, the scenario that I laid out earlier, they get there 5 minutes faster, and so they get to be the parent node, and then they stop playing, or they intentionally say we're not going to level up
right
anymore or whatever to keep everybody around us down or whatever. So it forces people to act like humans would actually act. That's exactly right. But also it could not be intentional like that. It could just be that the people who got there first and got to be the vassal or the parent node
Right.
decided they didn't want to play anymore, or they got bored of the game.
Or their guild broke
whatever.
up, and they're the ones running that. Yeah.
Yes. And then everybody's just stuck there. No, you have to have some system in the game
That
by which
balances
can
that
happen.
out. Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's like
I'm fine.
kickstand. You're a way out. A back door. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Did you have anything else you wanted to add for nodes for this episode?
No, not really. I mean, I'm excited about it, and I've mentioned a couple of times, like I think that this is the
new system.
This is the reason to play Ashes of Creation. If it weren't for this, and because you have to keep in mind that this node system is woven throughout every other system in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that the caravan system doesn't work without nodes, because the caravans travel between nodes.
Yep.
That's the whole point of it. And the artisan system, which is super complex and deep, doesn't work if you don't have the nodes leveling up and down, and the need to make all the widgets and stuff that are going to be needed to level up the nodes and de-level the nodes and all that stuff to put on the caravans. And it's just like, and the castle siege system is dependent on the nodes. It's all dependent on the nodes. So this entire game is resting on these nodes being as cool and interesting to
and flavored
as we think they are.
Right. Yeah. I like to think of them as like the hub, and like everything, you put all your time into this hub and to grow it and to nurture it and make it into the best thing you can make it, with all these different things that eventually, all these benefits that spring out of it as you do this, but you also run the risk of being able to lose it all, and I think it's such a cool system that's going to hopefully work well with the player base, and they're going to just get it and understand it, and it's going to grow into this mentality of the game, and it's going to really change the way people like MMOs and feel, I honestly think so. But all right, well, that's Nodes, guys. That's episode 8. So we'll check in with you next time. Thanks for coming. See ya.
Thanks, y'all.